how you all doing, my buddy? I hope you're doing well as always. Now, I had a very cool request from my Q&A videos about looking at distortion, overdrive, and amp gain and stuff like that. Actually, it was Bertrand. Hello, buddy. How you doing? And I thought I was taking a little look today at it. Now, on the floor here, I've got a distortion pedal, an overdrive pedal, and I thought I'll rack in a fuzz pedal as well. And then the amp I'm using is a Fender Supersonic because I'm going to use the clean channel but also the dirty channel from it as well, and talk about the gain from the amp, and then the overdrive from pedals and all that kind of stuff. And yes, regular viewers, the Les Paul is back for this one. A lot of you have been asking about the Beast, so I brought it back for this one. Right, so on the floor here, and hopefully you can see alright from the camera here, but I've got a Movell Scorpion distortion pedal. I've got the lovely, fantastic Seymour Duncan 805 overdrive pedal, and I just thought I'd talk about fuzz faces as well. So I've got my Joe Bonamassa fuzz face, which is the Germanium chip in it. So what is distortion? What is overdrive and all this stuff, alright? So basically we have our amplifiers, and with ideally our valve amplifiers, our tube amplifiers, okay? So this is, a clean channel, okay, from a valve amp. Now, to get that overloading, we have to turn it up so that the tubes are, to the point of dying. That's what they are, right? So when you think of, say, Eric Clapton, for example, on the Beano album, he got a Marshall Blues breaker and he dined everything. He turned everything up to 10. And then that overloaded the tubes, the valves, into overdrive. So overdrive is basically clipping. You're clipping the signal. And then with distortion and fuzzes, there's different stages of clipping. Now, a lot of kind of, modern day amps now have a multiple of channels. You've got 3-channel amps, I think there's 4-channel amps, stuff like that. I'm not really a fan of them. But this amp here is a 2-channel amp. It's got the clean channel you just heard a minute ago. And now I've just switched over to the overdrive channel, which is very nice. I used to use it all the time. So this is the overdrive channel of the Supersonic. Now I haven't got, it's not heavily saturated, but it's alright. So there it's got a capacitor in it to clip it so that it goes into overdrive at a lower volume without having to crank it up to get those tubes melting, right? So a lot of people just do that, I did that for a long time, just use the amps overdrive and get on with it, right? Now, of course, there is a plethora of overdrive pedals, and basically an overdrive pedal is voiced like a valve amp overdriven. That's the main thing for an overdrive pedal. So instead of having to get your clean amp and crank it, the overdrive pedal is clipping the signal early, if you will, to send it into overdrive. And then of course, because there's, like I said, a plethora of them, load of the different overdrive pedals out there all have their own voice, their own characteristic. So that's why it is cool to have different options for different sounds. You're going to get some overdrives that are going to be a brighter sound, some are a darker sound and stuff like that. Now, the daddy of them all is the Ibanez Tube Screamer, the TS808. Now, that obviously became more worldwide known through the great Stevie Ray Vaughan, because he used it, okay? But you get a lot of heavy rock guys use the Tube Screamer as well, okay? Now, this Seymour Duncan 805 is very much like a Tube Screamer. The good ones, the 808 ones. It's got that, I've forgotten the name of it now, this specific chip in it. I'll find it and I'll put it here now so you can know what I'm talking about. So, if I go back to the clean channel, now, actually, this was the amps overdrive. Go back to the clean channel, and now So that's the 805 here, the Seymour Duncan 805. Now, very similar to the amp's overdrive, because obviously this is the character of the amp, but I've set the pedal so it's like that. And of course there's some EQ here, so I could turn up a bit more treble if I wanted. And of course I can turn the volume up a little bit if I wanted. Okay, so you can fart around and do whatever. So but basically an overdrive pedal is clipping the amp early to get that warm, overdriven sound, what we like. Now a distortion pedal is taking the overdriven signal, the overdriven sound, and then compressing it loads, which then, yeah, a bit more of a wet sound is the best way, it's spongy. You know, so this Movell here, I click that on, I put the bridge back on. So it's a lot more saturated, a lot more compressed. You know, you think automatically more hard rock. Now if I go back to the overdrive sound, you know, it's kind of more woolly, more warm, you know, these kind of words you always hear describe here. So, you know, and then, but it's not as compressed at all. So, you know, if I do a bit of lead, now if I go to the distortion pedal and do the same idea, I think I did that, something like that. But you know what I mean, yeah, you can hear that it's a lot more compressed there. Now of course these are different make pedals, I understand that, you know, and whatnot, but it's still, it'd be the same on the board here, you know, if you had, you know, a £500 distortion pedal or, you know, a £100 distortion pedal. Of course, you know, you would think that the £500 will sell better, but it's still the same idea. Distortion is taking that overdriven signal and then literally spanking it with more with more compressed signal, more clipping, that term clipping again, you know. So it's taking your overdriven signal, the clipped overdriven, and then clipping in it more to produce a more, but by clipping it more, it's then compressing the signal for that spongy, saturated sound. Now I haven't got it all maxed out there, so if I turn the volume up just a little bit more and I'll just push that gain a bit more. It's alright, you know, for that rock, heavy rock sound, you know, you're going to get that big saturation. Now, I'm not super loud in here, you know, so to get that from an amp without having the pedal, you're going to have to dime it. But then again, it depends on the amp you're using. If you're using, for example, you know, a Marshall Plexi or something like that, you're not going to get that sound because the way the valves are, the way it's designed, so you'll get more of an overdriven sound. If you've got, for example, a Mesa Boogie rectifier, you're going to get more of a the distortion sound, because that amp is designed to compress, to clip in a way that it goes from overdrive to distortion. You know, overdrive, that warmer sound, to distortion, the saturated sound. So it has those, again, those capacitors in there, what clips it into distortion. So if you get a distortion pedal and an overdrive pedal, what happens there? So this is the distortion, this is the overdrive. If I put them together, there it's clip, 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 clipping central going on, alright? Which leads me into fuzz. Alright, so if you get your overdriven sound and then you send it into distortion, and then if you imagine just rattling those tubes, those valves, tubes, Americans call it tubes, us Brits call them valves. So yeah, you got your overdriven signal, send it into distortion, and then if you was just to rattle the tubes, you would then get kind of a fuzz sound basically, and the fuzz sound is the over clipping. And not necessarily in a saturated way, far from it actually, more of an overdriven way, but it's being clipped so high that it breaks up. It doesn't know what to do. You know, it's components like, what am I doing here? I don't know, and it gets that weird overtone fuzz sound. So if I click on here my fuzz face, and a lot of times actually I should point out I would dime it all, but I've backed up the fuzz a bit on the bottom mass of it. So here's the fuzz. Now as well, actually, fuzz connoisseurs here will see I've got it at the end of the signal, and a lot of people prefer it at the beginning. I did do that at the beginning before I turned the cameras on, but I was preferring the sound today at the end of the chain, so it's always good to experiment. Now the fuzz pedal certainly isn't a natural sound, but it can be a very good one. And now there are a lot of people who adore fuzz pedals, and you know, and straight away I can think of obviously Jimi Hendrix was a big fuzz fan. Philip Sace, he loves his fuzz pedals. Gary Clark Jr., Doyle Bramhall, C.Ray Vaughan. In the last few years of his life, he was starting to experiment with fuzz pedals, and they all have great tones. And there's people who just don't get it. I never used to be a fuzz fan. Now I'm getting more into them. All right. Now of course you don't want to be doing if blazing. Shreddy licks with a fuzz, because it's not going to have that. Or then again, depends how you have it set up. Now, because I haven't got load of fuzz kicked in here, but for rhythm sounds, you know. For a rhythm sound like that, it's got a cool character to it. If I just did the same idea, but with an overdrive sound, for example. Same on the distortion pedal. Now straight away, since I hit distortion, I want to do like muted. So actually I'm going to stop there, because that says it all. Distortion, overdrive, fuzz, all their own unique sound. The main thing, they all make you play a bit different. As soon as I hit that distortion, I naturally wanted to do muted 6-string, you know, that kind of heavy rock kind of stuff. With the fuzz, I wanted this to kind of like, you know, funk it up a bit. The overdrive, you know, I probably want a little bit more drive than that, you know. But so, if any conclusion can come from it, overdrive, distortion, fuzzes, they will all make you play differently. And that's the cool thing about it, you know. If you feel yourself stuck in a rut or something like that, change things up a little bit, you know. If you've just been, like how I used to do it, you should just use the amp distortion and then clean it up from overdrive, you know. But after a while I got a bit bored of that, changed it up, get more different sounds. Likewise, if you are a pedal guy or girl, let's be realistic, there's more guys here, but hello to my girl viewers. But yeah, if you're, you know, more pedals and then you feel yourself in a rut, take them away. Just go back to going lead into an amp, because, you know, you can still get some good sounds of it. Now let me just put a bit more gain and change the EQ around a little bit. And that was just the amp, nothing else. That was just amp there, and that is a sound. I liked it. You know, it sounds cool. You know, so that's not a bad rock and roll guitar sound there. You know, and then if I wanted to kick an overdrive pedal on top of that. You can do, alright? And that's when you can control it, have it more of a boost. So then I would, you know, knock the drive back on the pedal. What's that sound like now? You know, so there is more of a boosted sound going on. So then you're just, you know, a different stage of clipping, where you're clipping that signal into a more overdriven sound. But that sounds like an overdriven sound to me. That doesn't sound distorted. And again, distortion, to, you know, our little bullet points here, distortion is when you're taking your overdriven sound and then you're clipping it more into saturation. Let's just see what happens. So this is the overdrive on the amp. If I put distortion on, far too much gain. It's fun, you don't need to pick, you can just sit there and do that. So that's clip, 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 right? Now if I turn the clean back on, that's not a bad sound, you know, that's not a personal thing I would do because I'm not a heavy rock guy, but as opposed to overdrive, which is this. Bear in mind I turned the drive down before, but you know, there's an overdriven sound, and then when we get an overdriven sound and then almost like, you know, a distorted sound, you know, full on, smash those tubes about and you get a fuzz sound. If I was to crank it all up, you got that kind of stuff. And then some people will then put in a tube screamer type pedal and noise, noise, noise. So hopefully it's given you an idea. More importantly, you can get to hear it, can't you? You know, you hear a distortion and overdrive from the amp, overdrive from the pedal, and a fuzz unit as well, you know. So by all means, experiment, have fun with it, and like I said, the main thing from it, each one makes you play different, which can only be a good thing, you know. So if you've got a song or something like that and you're not sure what you want, try putting in a different, you know, form of gain, circuit, boost in there, you know, be it a fuzz, overdrive, distortion, whatever. So I'd love to know your thoughts, guys. Hopefully this has helped and given you a little idea into this crazy world of guitar sounds, and let me know in the comment section below what you think. I'd really love to hear from you. Anyway, hope you're very well, and I will see you next week. Mike Bradley, signing out.